So you want to go to Google and find your Gucci print that you want. Try to find something that is not too pixelated. You want to find a clear image and save it to your desktop. The Minnie Mouse is in design space, add it to your project space, and scale to size. The height you want it to be 10.5. The width you can leave alone because it will adjust on its own. Make sure the lock at the top is closed when you adjust the size. So the height is 10.5 and the width is 6.55. So now I am going to go in and duplicate the pieces that I need so I can contour the face like it needs to be. Her face needs to be brown. Her eyes need to be corrected. So right now I'm just going in and making the adjustments that I need. I'm not going to go into too much detail because it's pretty much self-explanatory. You can watch what I'm doing and see the adjustments that I'm making. Now you're going to go to upload on the left hand side on the bottom, and you're going to upload your pattern. You're going to select your cut, go to operation at the top of the screen, and you're going to select the little icon box. And the print type pattern may not be selected, so you will have to probably select pattern from the drop down. Select your image because we already uploaded that, and it will fill in your cut. And it's as simple as that. And you'll do the following for each cut. You're going to have to select it and then select your pattern the same way. Some of your cuts may be on basic cut, so you will have to change it from basic cut to print thin cut in order for you to fill in your pattern. To adjust the size of the pattern, you just scale it with the dial. You can move it up and down and scale it to the size that you want. Since this is the polka dot part of the dress, I will scale it down so that you can see the pattern more. Contour the polka dots of the dress as well. You're going to have to duplicate her face, contour all the parts that you need for the polka dots so that you can fill in those parts with the Gucci pattern as well. And again, I'm scaling the pattern down because these are smaller parts and I want the Gucci print to be more defined. I'm just going in now to select her face again and deselect the pieces that I want that's on her ears, the two white pieces. I took those parts off. We are creating the fun part now, the shoulder pads. Create two circles and adjust to where you want the shoulder pads above the elbows. You're going to turn the circle into a print and cut, and then you're going to select your pattern. Change the drop down to pattern, select your pattern, edit your pattern to size, scale it to size how you want it. Now here I am just ungrouping my layers and I need to adjust the shoulder pad circle to, I want it under her glove but above her last layer. You're just going to duplicate the circle, the shoulder pad circle, and move it on over to the left side. And you're going to send the layer to the back and then move it forward so that it's above the last layer. Create your circles to go behind the shoulder pads to create that last layer behind the shoulder pads. Make sure the circles are black and send the layer back. Duplicate the circle and move it over to the left side as well behind the other shoulder pad. You want to leave a little bit of the black exposed because that's where your cut line is going to be. So make sure a little bit of that black line is exposed behind the shoulder pads. Adjust your Minnie Mouse down 75% and hit Shift Command 4. You want to take a screenshot with your cursor and save your Minnie Mouse to your desktop. Open Pixelmator, create a new document. Your measurements, excuse me. Your height is going to be 11 inches and your width is going to be 8.5 inches. Your resolution 300 and select OK. Adjust your artboard to size so that you can drag your Minnie Mouse from your desktop onto your artboard. Now scale your Minnie to your page. Now in the top right hand corner, select OK. Select your magic wand and you're going to highlight your Minnie Mouse. as I'm doing here. I'm not selecting her tail because that's just going to take away from the actual sizing that I want. So I'm going to leave her tail out. I'm not going to select the tail at all. Now I am just going to right click, select cut and paste as layer, and then I'm going to deselect, delete my cutout, the part that I don't need, and I'm just going to leave my Minnie Mouse that's selected. Deselect the background layer. You want to select that box there. Select the cursor tool so that you can get that magic wand off. I'm zooming out and scaling my Minnie to how I want her, the size that I want her. I don't want her to the edge of the page because you need to leave room for the cut. Hit OK. Now we are going to create 4 squares. You can keep them a color for now because we're going to change them to white later. But I'm used to doing this, so I just keep them white. But you're going to create 4 squares. Make sure they're all the same size, and make sure they're all going to the corners of your page. The size really does not matter. Now that all 4 corners are filled in with our squares, we're going to print this file, file and print, and then we're going to save this file to our desktop. Now that our file has printed, take a look at the quality of our file. And this is printed on cardstock paper. Now we're going to go back into Space and upload the image of Minnie Mouse that we just saved. We're going to select complex for the image type. Do not resize it at this point. You're going to leave it as is and select continue. Now we're going to select cut image and select upload. Select our image that we just uploaded and add to canvas. At this point, now we are going to readjust the size. So we're going to readjust it to height will be 11 inches and the width will be 8.5 inches. At this point, you should see on your mat that you're at least a quarter of an inch away from the edge of the page where you should lay your print. Now, a good rule of thumb would be to use a test page so that you're not wasting material. So I usually cut a test sheet first, and then I will adjust to my eye to see exactly where I need to lay my print on the cutting mat. Go back into Pixelmator and flip your image horizontal. Make sure you do this step because when you flip it inside design space, it will not cut out properly. I made that same mistake. So make sure you go into Pixelmator and flip it horizontal and save it to your desktop. And upload the horizontal image to your project space in Cricut. You can also use your first cut as a guide. Leave it on the mat and then mark it. Mark your mat where your cuts are. With a pencil, you can make a little mark so that you know where you're cutting. Be careful with how you're lining it up, because if you see the difference, you see the white marks in here, you have barely any of the white outline. So make sure you're paying attention to where you're placing your sheet on the mat.